China's National Health Commission has announced that the death toll from the coronavirus outbreak in mainland China reached 1,770 as of the end of Sunday, up by 105 from the previous day. At least 100 of the new deaths were from the province of Hubei, the epicenter of the epidemic, the commission said on Monday morning. Across the country, there were 2,048 new confirmed infections, about 1,933 from Hubei alone, pushing the new total to 70,548. On Sunday, Hubei announced tough new measures to try to curb the outbreak, ordering its cities to block roads to all private vehicles. Meanwhile, a newly published speech revealed Chinese President Xi Jinping was aware of the potential severity of the outbreak long before the public was informed. Here are all the latest updates. Monday, February 17, Japan confirms 99 more cases of new virus on cruise ship. Japanese officials have confirmed 99 more people infected by the new virus aboard the quarantined cruise ship Diamond Princess, bringing the total to 454, the health ministry said Monday. The ministry has been carrying out tests on passengers and crew on the ship, docked in Yokohama, a port city near Tokyo. Outside China, the ship has had the largest number of cases of the COVID-19 illness caused by the virus that emerged in China late last year. U.S. firms in China report staff shortages, say coronavirus hitting global operations. Nearly half of the U.S. companies in China say their global operations are already seeing an impact from business shutdowns due to the coronavirus epidemic, according to a poll by Shanghai's American Chamber of Commerce, AmCham. Some 78% of the respondents also said they do not have sufficient staff at their Chinese plants to resume full production, while 48% of respondents said plant shutdowns have already impacted their global supply chains. China parliament body to discuss delaying key annual March session. A top legislative body of the Chinese parliament will meet on February 24 to discuss a proposal on delaying the key annual March meeting of parliament, the official Xinhua news agency reported on Monday. The proposal for the delay is due to the coronavirus outbreak, Xinhua reported. China says WHO delegation to visit Beijing, Guangdong, Sichuan. China says a WHO delegation of experts will visit Beijing, and the provinces of Guangdong and Sichuan from February 17 onwards. A spokesman for the National Health Commission announced the details of the visit at a media briefing Monday. U.S. SAT Department, 14 test positive among U.S. plane evacuees from Japan virus ship. 14 people who had tested positive for the new coronavirus were among the more than 300 U.S. citizens and family members evacuated by plane from a quarantined ship in Japan, the U.S. State Department said Monday. The passengers had already disembarked from the Diamond Princess and were preparing to return to the United States on chartered aircraft when U.S. officials were informed 14 of them who had been tested days earlier were positive for COVID-19, it said in a joint statement with the Department of Health and Human Services. Health official, Thailand records one new case of coronavirus. Thailand has recorded one new case of coronavirus, bringing the total in the country to 35 since January, a senior health official said on Monday. The new case is a 60-year-old Chinese woman, whose family members earlier contracted the virus, Sukum Kanchanapamai, the health ministry's permanent secretary said in a news conference. 15 people have recovered and returned home. Japan cancels Emperor's birthday public celebrations amid virus fears. Japan said Monday it would cancel a public gathering to celebrate the birthday of new Emperor Naruhito, as fears grow over the spread of the new coronavirus in the country. In light of various situations, we have decided to cancel the visit by the general public to the palace for His Majesty's birthday, the Imperial Household Agency said in a statement a day after the government warned people to avoid crowds and non-essential gatherings. Australia to evacuate over 200 citizens from quarantined cruise ship. Australia will evacuate more than 200 of its citizens on board the coronavirus-stricken cruise, the Diamond Princess, which has been quarantined since arriving in Yokohama, Japan on February 3. Morrison said the passengers will depart on Wednesday and will be taken to Australia's tropical north, where they will be required to be quarantined for another 14 days. Filipino crew members infected by coronavirus in cruise ship rise to 27. The Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs reported on Monday that there are now 27 Filipinos on board the Diamond Princess cruise ship who have been infected of the coronavirus. The number includes 16 new cases confirmed on Saturday, the 15th of February, according to the statement issued by the Philippine Embassy. There are an estimated 531 Filipino crew members and seafarers, as well as 7 Filipino passengers on board Diamond Princess, which is now docked and under quarantine in the port of Yokohama, Japan. Japan keeps high coronavirus alert as more citizens return from China. Japan evacuated more citizens from the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak on Monday, while the disease's spread prompted a hospital to stop accepting new patients and raised the possibility of restricting participants at the Tokyo Marathon on March 1. A fifth government-chartered flight carrying 65 Japanese citizens arrived in Tokyo from Wuhan, China, early on Monday, bringing the total number repatriated from the city to 763, broadcaster NHK reported. A hospital in Sagamihara, 50 kilometers (31 miles) west of Tokyo, said it would suspend admissions of new patients as one of its nurses tested positive for the virus after treating a patient who later died of the disease. With more than 400 people infected, most of whom are passengers on a cruise ship docked in Yokohama, Japan is the country most affected by the epidemic after China, where the outbreak was first detected in December. What can U.S. evacuees from Japan cruise ship expect next? Al Jazeera's John Hendren, reporting from Washington, D.C., said the U.S. citizens being evacuated from the Diamond Princess cruise ship, docked at Yokohama in Japan, had a no-frills journey ahead of them. After having spent 10 days in quarantine on the ship, the U.S. nationals who tested negative for the coronavirus will board a cargo plane to return to the U.S. They've been told that it will be cold, they should bundle up, they should bring their own food, and for those with bags over 70 pounds (32 kilograms), they're told those bags will not make the trip, Hendren said. Once home, the evacuees will need to spend 2 more weeks in quarantine at military bases in California and Texas. 40 U.S. citizens on board cruise ship are infected, health official. A senior U.S. health official has said more than 40 U.S. nationals on the quarantined cruise ship in Japan have been infected with the deadly coronavirus. 40 of them have gotten infected, Anthony Fauci, a senior official at the National Institutes for Health, said on a CBS News program. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) said on Saturday that 400 U.S. nationals on the ship would be evacuated and flown back to the U.S. But Fauci said those confirmed with infections would not be allowed to fly. They are not going to go anywhere, he said, they're going to be in hospital in Japan. 3 Israelis among those infected on cruise ship. Israel's Ministry of Health has confirmed a third Israeli citizen on board the quarantined Diamond Princess cruise ship has tested positive for the coronavirus. The patients have been transferred to a medical center in Japan, and Israel will send an expert physician to be in direct contact with relevant agencies in Japan and follow the patient's case throughout the medical procedure, the ministry said in an online statement. A total of 355 people on the ship have tested positive for the virus. More than 100 Germans released from quarantine. More than 100 German nationals have been released from quarantine at a military base near Frankfurt Airport 2 weeks after flying in from Wuhan. All the people concerned have been allowed to leave the quarantine zone and rejoin their families, Thomas Gebhardt, Secretary of State for Health, told a press briefing. None of the individuals in quarantine was infected with the virus. Parents protest over Pakistani students trapped in China. About 100 people have called on Pakistan's government to bring back our children from locked-down Hubei province at a demonstration in Karachi. Pakistan's government has so far ruled out evacuating the more than 1,000 Pakistani students in the province. Health Minister Zafar Mirza and others are due to hold a meeting for parents in Islamabad on Wednesday. But many students and their families have expressed growing fears and frustration as the death toll in China mounts, pointing to other countries, including neighboring India and Bangladesh, that have evacuated their citizens. For God's sake, we request from the government representatives, please bring back our children, please listen to a mother's grievance, one protester said through her tears. UAE confirms new case. The United Arab Emirates has confirmed its 9th case of coronavirus. The country's health ministry said in a Twitter post the patient was a 37-year-old Chinese national. It added the man was in stable condition and was being monitored. U.S. passengers' evacuation from quarantined ship begins, report. U.S. passengers have begun evacuating a cruise ship quarantined at Japan's Yokohama, boarding buses at the port. An AFP news agency reporter saw buses in a convoy starting to move away from the boat, though they did not immediately depart the port. A passenger from the US, Sarah Arana, confirmed to AFP she had boarded a bus and was expecting to take one of 2 charter flights leaving for the US. Malaysia insists virus diagnosis from cruise passenger is correct. Malaysia insisted it had correctly diagnosed coronavirus in an elderly U.S. passenger from the Westerdam cruise ship despite all passengers having been given a clean bill of health when they disembarked in Cambodia. The vessel was at sea for 2 weeks and was barred from docking in Japan, Guam, the Philippines, Taiwan and Thailand. Cambodia, a staunch ally of Beijing, allowed the ship to dock Thursday in Sihanoukville. Cambodia urged Kuala Lumpur to double-check the diagnosis, but Malaysian Deputy Prime Minister Wan Aziza Wan Ismail said the 83-year-old woman had already been tested twice. "Our protocol is actually world-class, it's a positive," she told a press conference. Taiwan reports first death from virus. The first death due to COVID-19 has been reported in Taiwan, its health minister said. The deceased was a taxi driver in his 60s and was hospitalized on February 3, complaining of shortness of breath, which led to a diagnosis of pneumonia. He died late on Saturday, Health and Welfare Minister Chen Shih-chung told a televised news conference. According to Chen, one of the man's family members also contracted the virus. While the man had not traveled abroad, he had previously transported people from China, Hong Kong and Macau. Hong Kong protesters rally against virus quarantine centers. Hundreds of demonstrators rallied for a second day in Hong Kong to protest against plans to turn some buildings into coronavirus quarantine centers, reviving anti-government protests in the Chinese-ruled city. About 100 people braved the rain in the New Territories district of Pho Tan, where authorities plan to use a newly built residential development that was subsidized by the government as a quarantine center. Riot police stood by. Beijing theme park to open on schedule. The Universal Studios Beijing theme park is expected to open to the public in May 2021 as scheduled despite the current coronavirus outbreak, a Beijing municipal official told a news briefing. Construction of the theme park, the 5th such Universal Studios park in the world, is expected to be completed by the end of 2020, the official said. Hubei province bans vehicle traffic to curb spread of coronavirus. The government of Hubei province, the center of China's coronavirus outbreak, said a ban will be imposed on vehicle traffic across the province to curb the spread of the virus. In a published document, it said police cars, ambulances, vehicles carrying essential goods, or other vehicles related to public service would be exempted. It added that the province will carry out regular health checks on all residents in the province. It also stated that companies cannot resume work without first receiving permission from the government. Nepal evacuates 175 citizens from Wuhan after coronavirus outbreak. Nepal has evacuated 175 of its nationals from the Chinese city of Wuhan, an official said, after protests by parents of students studying in the city. A plane operated by state-owned Nepal Airlines carrying 134 men and 41 women, mostly students, landed at Kathmandu's Tribhuvan International Airport before dawn, Health Ministry spokesman Mahendra Shrestha said. All evacuees will be held in quarantine for 2 weeks in the nearby town of Bhaktapur. They will be under the close observation of doctors in quarantine and will be allowed to join their families if found healthy after 2 weeks, Shrestha told Reuters. Another 70 people test positive for coronavirus on ship in Japan. Katsunobu Kato, Japan's health minister, said 70 more people on board the quarantined Diamond Princess cruise ship have tested positive for the coronavirus, bringing the total to 355 cases. Some 3,700 passengers and crew were on board the ship, where the most coronavirus infections outside China have occurred. Those testing positive are transferred to Japanese hospitals. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and please click on the bell so you'll be updated on my next video. Thank you. WeCare for UPH. Your health comes first.